On this candidate forum. So glad to have a good audience out there. It looks like we have more than 50 people who are listening in addition to the candidates. So that's wonderful. I'll start it off. I'm Pam Marsh. I'm the House Representative for District 5, which includes Ashland, Talent, Phoenix, a little corner of Jacksonville, and the Applegate. I'm glad to be here with you today to facilitate this event. I also served for 4 years on the Ashland City Council, so I have a tremendous amount of appreciation and respect for the candidates who are putting themselves forward for this job. It doesn't pay much, and it's a tremendous amount of responsibility and weight within the community, and particularly important in these days when we are all worried about the future and trying to figure out what the path forward is. So thank you to the candidates. This is the first of 3 forums that are sponsored by the Mountain Meadows Democrats and AAUW. We have tremendous thanks. I want to start with to both of those organizations and to David Lane, who is also serving as our timer today, and Regina Ayers, who has been our contact with AAUW. Especially in these days of COVID, it's hard to run a campaign. It's hard to figure out how to get out there and talk to voters. So these kinds of virtual events are more important than ever. And I think there's just, frankly, nothing like seeing candidates speaking beside each other to really understand how you're gonna vote. So we are very happy to be here today. Today, we are going to be having a forum on two council positions. Council position number 1, we have candidates Andrew Card and Paula Hyatt. You can wave at people if you like. They'll have a chance to formally introduce themselves in a few minutes. And position number 5, which is Gina DuQuenne and Jessica Kensinger. So thank you for that. The format for today is pretty straightforward. We are going to first give every candidate an opportunity to introduce him or herself. They'll have 90 seconds for that to tell us a little bit about their background, their passions, why they think they're qualified for this position, and anything else important that they think we should know. We will then run through a series of questions, as many as 10, but we'll just see how the day is going and how our energy is keeping up. Those questions, each candidate will also have 90 seconds to answer. And then we will wind up the forum with final comments. Again, 90 seconds to answer. David Lane, who's on the screen, will be providing the timing for the candidates. We'll start in a given order, and then we'll rotate the questions through the candidates so that everybody has a chance to be the first speaker. I want to first finally flag additional forums that we're going to be having on this Wednesday at 7 p.m. the 30th. We will have a format featuring candidates for position number 3, and there's 4 of those candidates, and 4 as there are 4 today. And then on Saturday, October 3rd at 2 p.m., we will have a forum for mayor. So you'll get to see the 2 individuals who have signed up to with the potential to lead our city. So that these are going to be, I think, 3 very interesting and important forums. And with that, David, do you want to add anything about timing? You're good to go. Candidates, we're ready to hear from you.
David,
okay.
you're on mute right now. David, if you want to unmute. I saw your lips move.
Sorry. Oh, I'll be keeping time with a nice Apple phone.
Great. Just a second. Okay, with that, I am going to move into the candidate introductions, and we will start with position 1 and Andrew Card, and he will be followed by Paula Hyatt. So Andrew, take it away, please. 90 seconds. Andrew, you're on mute.
There we go.
Okay. Didn't count against your 90 seconds.
Okay,
you're
great.
Good.
Okay, I'll be quick. Yeah, hi, I want to thank both organizations for putting on this forum. I think it's extremely important to have this dialogue with the different candidates. I'm a native of the Rogue Valley. I graduated from SOU with a master's in business administration and then went on to work in the private sector in Europe. 4 years ago, I made the decision to move back to the Rogue Valley and pursue my dream of being a small business owner. Over those past 4 years, I have spent, almost every day in the plaza, talking with community members, with tourists, city employees, and of course, other small business owners about the challenges and opportunities facing Ashland. I have a pulse on the community and a vision to move Ashland in a new direction. I believe The people of Ashland no longer want the status quo. I know I don't, and that's why I'm running as a change candidate. And I believe that under my leadership, you'll see a city council that really values public input. I believe that's one of the main things that are sort of missing from the current council. I think the city deserves a council that listens to the recommendations put forth by our various committees with our experts filling those seats. And I'll do whatever it takes to ensure that we have a city council that puts the needs of our community first. I'm not here to claim that I have all the right answers, but what I can commit to you is that I'll seek guidance from the experts in our communities. I will represent the voices of the people, and I'll learn from and adopt successful plans from our neighboring cities. So vote for me if you want change and if you want to see Ashland move into a new direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. And also running for position 1 is Paula Hyatt.
Good afternoon, and thank you for everyone who's joining today on this beautiful Sunday. I come to this race with a background in business administration and also my master's degree from George Washington University and the State University of New York at Albany, respectively. I've worked across multiple industries, including banking, defense, and healthcare. Healthcare is something that is so pervasive in what we face these days that experience has been very important as I have worked on our Citizens Budget Committee and in other ways within our city. Growing up, I was taught that you lead through service, and I have carried that forward with me. I have enjoyed working on our budget committee and chairing the most recent biennium budget cycle. I've also worked with our Economic, Cultural, Tourism, and Sustainability Grants Committee, which is always enjoyable because I'm forever impressed by our nonprofit organizations, the breadth and depth of these organizations, and how they enrich Ashland. They bring so much to our community and truly make this a vibrant and unique place to live. And additionally, I like to work with my little one where possible. So she helps me with our Ashland Food Project, our green bags, putting stickers on cards, and then we go out together and we walk the neighborhood where we get to see fellow neighbors and friends as we work. Right now, I find myself in an interesting position between being a mom and a daughter of 2 retired parents. And I want to work not just for one group, but for all residents. And I look forward to continuing to serve Ashland. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. And now we will move for introductions to the candidates for position 5, and we will begin with Gina DuQuenne. I'm going to be the mute reminder. Take yourself off mute.
Oh, can you hear me?
You're good.
Okay. All right. So let me say once again, good afternoon, Ashland. Thank you everyone for coming, and thank you to Mountain Meadows and AAUW for doing this and putting this together. I have been living in Ashland for the past 15 years. I love Ashland. I have a passion for Ashland. What I feel like I can bring to City Council is my resilience and my transparency, my honesty, my tenacity. I am the type of person that gets things done. And being in this capacity so that will allow me to be of service, I look forward to moving forward in Ashland and bringing living wage jobs that are so needed, taking care of our unhoused community. I've been on the Housing and Human Services Commission for the last 7 years, and I am passionate about that project, being on the commission, and I'm passionate about the people who are unhoused because we all have the right to live with dignity. I want to be able to be of service in my capacity and be able to open up conversations, having the open door policy. I believe in having an open door policy, working for affordable housing, workforce housing, living wages, diversifying the economy in such a way that we aren't in this position which we are in now with putting all of our eggs in one basket. Is the times that I've been here the past 15 years, I've been with Newman Hotel Group. And in that capacity, I started working with events. And from there, I moved on to the other side, and now I've been working in travel and tourism. And that really opened up my eyes. and let me see how we do have the opportunity to not only have a robust tourism economy, but also diversify and bringing in other living wage jobs so that we are sustainable and we are thriving and we are moving forward. I want to be that counselor that comes in with new, fresh ideas so that we are resilient and sustainable and equitable. This is my vision for Ashland, and I know we can move forward, and together we can get things done. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. And Jessica Kensinger, our second candidate for position 5.
It's Kensinger, like Kensinger. So I'm kind of like the new girl here, so I'm just going to do a little more background than everyone else did. I grew up in Grass Valley, California. I went to USC in 2000, and I got my BA in Gender Studies. After that, I actually moved to New Orleans to had an assistantship for sociology and get my master's there, and it was just not a place that I wanted to stay. So I went back to California. I started some nonprofits, moved to Vegas, and I started an exotic car rental company, and I had a marketing company. And then in 2012, I went to Brookings, and I got like my first taste of local government, and I went to my first forum, and I was just absolutely in love, and I have done nothing since that day in like early 2013, but study and do practice races. I run campaigns, and I recruit students to run for office and teach them all the things that they need to know about that. Let's see, right now I am enrolled in SOU as an MBA student, and I have been planning to run for something in 2020 for 4 years. So I knew I was going to run for something, and this is just what I picked. I think that Ashland has the smartest, like the highest concentration of amazing experts and smart people, and that is what I really want to get access to. I think by running for city council, so that people know that I'm available and I want to serve, and offer myself up for a volunteer position that can make it so that I more deserve those access to resources. As for the status quo, which Andrew was talking about, I think that the status quo is the status quo of services, and the character of Ashland. I don't think anyone really wants that changed. So I'm more fighting for the things that the people in Ashland traditionally supported. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the correction on your name. I apologize for that. Okay, now we've had a great introduction to all of our 4 candidates. I think we're already starting to understand what experience and passions they bring to this work. And now we're going to move into our series of questions. I should note the questions that we'll have today were formulated by members of the AAUW and members of the Mountain Meadows Democratic Club. And I think they will give us a broad understanding of the issues and the positions of our candidates. So the first question, we're going to start with the issue that is on all of our minds, the devastation that we've experienced in our region over the past several weeks with the Alameda wildfire. And the first question is this one. As a counselor, how would you see Ashland collaborate with neighboring cities to address recovery needs? And we're going to start with this round of questions with Paula. Again, 90 seconds for your answer.
With regard to how we move forward, I think we need to start by looking at our FireWise program and potentially expanding and sharing this program with our sister cities here in the Valley. The information that's offered within that program is critical to our citizens being able to proactively be ready in the case of an event such as the one that we recently experienced. Second, I would like to see us collaborate on the county level with regard to mutually beneficial weed abatement and defensible space. We saw with Alameda that Billings Ranch Field, as it abuts Quiet Village and the Billings Ranch subdivision, there was no fire break there. And the weed abatement that we practice here in Ashland is not the same as what's practiced in Jackson County. And I feel to be proactive and smart going forward, having coordination on that would be vital to those first initial moments when you're trying to get things under control. And then third, and perhaps most important, in the past, we have had a communication director. Currently, we do not. And I feel that that position would have been critical in an emergency situation where you can centralize information. We know that the information that's going out would be correct. So I feel that it is appropriate and important to reevaluate this, because that type of a position can plug in and coordinate across the valley. So just to recap, I would want to see us expand and share fire-wise. I would want to see us work a weed abatement and defensible space. And then finally, communication director. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Paula, for kicking us off with that. Same question to Gina. How do you think Ashland can collaborate with our neighboring cities to begin the process of recovery?
In my opinion, and Paula said brought up some very important facts, but in collaborating with our neighboring communities, I feel as if we need to open up our communication, because of what I saw, the devastation that happened was a breakdown in communication. In my opinion, we need more CERT volunteers and educated volunteers so that we can be able to let people know where we are and where we're going. Evacuation is so important. There was not an evacuation plan put in place. And we live here in this beautiful little town, and I don't want us to be another paradise. So I would have to say it's critical that we have an evacuation plan. And I see this as an overall emergency awareness that needs to take place. Having more than one person being allowed accessibility to the alert system, to the alarm system, to let people know what level we're on or where we need to go. All residents of Jackson County, I feel, need to be able to have an evacuation plan, which is critical. That needs to be implemented. I believe it was brought to council before, but it wasn't followed through. We had COVID-19 and so many other things. However, this needs to be up on the priority list so that we have evacuation plans put in place, so that we have an alert system that more than one person can access. And even looking at our firefighters, we have 8 firefighters in Ashland, 6 in Talent. It takes 2 firefighters to operate 1 engine. We need to have more firefighters. Why can't we have volunteer firefighters? There are so many opportunities that this opens up to us. So moving forward with working together, opening the communication, and having the all of Jackson County on board, I think is very important for the residents of Ashland and our surrounding neighbors.
Thank you, Gina. Jessica, same question.
Right, so I think we need to start with a regional Bear Creek fire management plan. You know, just like Paula said, removing that vegetation and also strengthening city ordinances for defensible space. You know, the blackberries, what we have is we need to get rid of all these blackberries. They're non-native, they're an invasive species, and they're highly flammable, and they're part of the problem that caused the fire to be so terrible. The fire just went through these blackberries. So Medford's applied for a $1.2 million grant with the fire department to try and control this problem. And we need to address it from like a regional standpoint and all work together to apply for these loans together. You know, just encourage a regional approach with regional investments and problem solving. Just going on a little bit farther than that. So what I wanted to do was to take down the bushes that are close to the buildings and make wood chips out of them. But what I learned is that they actually want to ban wood chips because these are also highly flammable. Another thing that we should start working on is metal on houses to make the homes like fire permeable. Now, Ashland has done a lot of thinking about this in the past, but we need to take that to a higher level, and we need to get residents acclimated to the fact that they're not going to be able to landscape the same way that they've always wanted to. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. And Andrew, same question. How can we begin the process of recovery working with our adjacent communities? Andrew, you'll need to come off mute.
It's just, there's a little delay there.
Okay.
First, I would start with developing a fire resiliency program that's like more regional. We need to continue to aggressively thin the forest, but we can't do that without the help of our neighboring cities. And so we need to share those resources to protect the valley as a whole. Secondly, we need to take a hard look at our current communication strategy between Ashland, Talent, and Phoenix, and to a certain extent, Medford. I think we should have an audit on that to see where improvements are needed, what's worked, and how we could develop some sort of communications director to manage that. Third, we need to make our evacuation system also more regional, as opposed to individual communities with their own systems. You know, Nixle, while helpful, proved too limited. I would explore how to create an evacuation system that involves both the Talent and Phoenix communities. I would also like to see Firewise programs implemented in those communities if they aren't already. And how can we share resources with that with our neighboring cities? Yeah, I mean, essentially we need to work in tandem with Phoenix and Talent and Medford. We need the proper plans in place to ensure our communities that they're safe. And I like what Gina said. You know, she asked the question, why don't we have more volunteer firefighters? We should explore this. I don't know if we have a current program, if it's city by city basis, or if the county can set up a program where we can have like volunteer firefighters at the ready. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we're going to now offer you a general question regarding your priorities. Very simply, if you are elected to the Ashland City Council, what will be your first 3 priorities? And we will start this with Gina.
Only 3, huh? Well, I believe my number 1 would most likely be the budget, because I would like to be able to go through the process of the budget, to me, which is transparency and prioritizing. I would like to be able to go through the budget with the new council, with our new city manager, our new finance director. I know it won't be easy, but it's something that needs to be done, and to be able to sit down and prioritize and move forward. Then I look at diversifying our economy. I'm a believer of economic growth. The development comes from diversifying our economy, making and creating those living wage jobs, supporting the businesses that are already here to help them grow so we can have more livable wages. Then being on the Housing and Homeless Commission for as long as I've been on the commission, the unhoused, and looking at how we can take care of the residents here in Ashland are unhoused, so that they too can live with dignity. So that would be my 3 for now.
Thank you. And Jessica, if you get elected to this position, what are going to be your first 3 priorities? Oops, we've still got you on mute. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay,
I've actually already talked about my first priority, which would be the abatement, the blackberry abatement. Second, I think one of the problems that we're having right now is the lack of revenue from the entertainment tax, and so I think we need to really get in and focus on tourism. And Andrew talked the other day about ecotourism, and I think that is a great idea, a great way to begin. Also, I'd like to market the area as Oregon's like gateway to wine country. There's a lot of economic development ideas that I have and that are gathered, and we need a new economic development master plan for one, but focusing on getting money as soon as possible after the crisis, I think is the number 1 thing. We need to get heads in beds, and we need to get more money circulating in Ashland. We can't, like, I support living wage jobs and I love diversifying the economy. I have great ideas, but ultimately, we cannot afford to live on just the income that we have. We need the income of people coming in, tourism. And I think that by promoting the tourism, we can get people to bring businesses here. So when they come here, they will be more likely to bring businesses here. A third thing, that's a good question. You know, oh, obviously housing. So there's a few properties that are available. And I'm gonna stop. Thank you.
We got housing. That's good. Thank you, Jessica. Andrew, what are the first 3 things you want to work on if you get elected?
Yeah, so the 3 things would be budget, economy, and affordable housing. So with budget, we really need to move to a priority-based budgeting system, and make sure we have our values aligned with our spending, but we also need to get our spending in order. Now, in terms of the economy, small businesses have really been impacted. I know this firsthand, having 2 small businesses in Ashland. And the city needs to do more in terms of grant funding and just overall support for our small businesses. And also we need to, continue to grow our industry. We can't just rely on tourism. Tourism is a big driver. It brings in a lot of revenue, but we need to see more like light manufacturing, agriculture, and testing facilities. And, I do have strategies on how we can do that. Lastly, affordable housing. And I look at affordable housing, that goes hand in hand with economic resiliency. You talk to any small business owner, they have huge challenges of hiring people, retaining workers. And especially now that most of our workers lived in Talent and Phoenix, many of them have had their homes erased. So they might have to move even farther into Medford or wherever. And so it's going to be a really huge challenge to find talent into the future, unless we have more affordable housing. Now, there's a lot of ways we can do that with aggressive infill strategies, incentives to developers, increasing funding to our housing trust fund. So those are just a few of the things.
Thank you. And right in 90 seconds. And Paula, your priorities.
So first would be our budget and prioritization of our budget with regard to our community's priorities and values. Second, I would want to look at our affordable housing and affordability for families and individuals in general. And that goes to diversification of our economy in ways that make it affordable for our families and our individuals to work and live in the same location. And then third, I want to look at our key hires. For Ashland to continue forward successfully, we have to have the right people in our leadership roles, and those people need to be able to work together to bring us forward. All of these priorities, these 3, our budget, affordability, and our key hires, are under the umbrella of 2 critical macro items. One being COVID-19, our economic and our social stability as it relates to COVID-19, and then second, climate. We need to be able to look forward with regard to remediation and recovery from our wildfires and other macro climate issues. So I do see our local issues folding in under that, and leadership will be key to ensuring we're successful going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes the speakers for the question regarding priorities. We're going to move now into the budget. Some of you have referred to budget issues when you discussed your priorities, but let's take a minute and just delve a little bit more into that. And I'm going to ask you a pretty general question to start here. What's your view of the city's current budget status, and what do you see as the big challenges ahead? And Jessica, you will kick the answers to this question off.
All right, so I actually teach budgeting to my student candidates and some of my adult candidates also. So what I think are the most important needs for the budget right now are to build reserves, cost control health benefits, consolidation of services, and outsourcing if it is feasible. Our budget pressures are our PERS obligation and our healthcare benefit costs, our decline in lodging and meals tax, and inflation. Inflation is a problem, especially considering that inflation is not capped, but the amount of property taxes that we do get is capped. So our property tax is capped at 15%. Our property tax contributes 15% to our revenue, but it's capped at a 3% growth rate per year, which is what really separates Oregon from California and why they are flourishing in their services, and we are just a little bit more behind and paying a lot more in our income taxes. In general, so I actually have this quick guide on my website under budget at jessicaforashland.com, because I think that although some people here, especially Paula has like a more a deep sense of budgets, whereas I would have more of a wider, more of like an explaining to others type of experience. But I've heard a lot of people say, like, well, why do we have so many employees and why is our budget so great? But if you look at this, you'll see that our general fund is only $59 million for 2 years. So it's half that per year. Our enterprise funds make up the vast majority of the rest of the money. Sorry, my bad. Thank you.
You're good. Thank you, Jessica. Andrew, tell us your view of the current city budget and the challenges ahead.
Yeah, I think, our greatest asset are employees of the city. But however, costs for personnel continue to rise faster than revenue. And it's anticipated that, healthcare and retirement costs will continue to outpace revenues in the future. And so I see that as probably one of the most glaring issues of our budget, and something we have to, look at for the next several years, if not, in perpetuity. The PERS system is an issue, surrounding employee pension liabilities, and has created a substantial financial challenge. We've seen a 25% increase to its previous blended rate in this budget. And, we also see that the higher rates are going to continue to increase along with healthcare. So what I see we need to do is we need to move forward. And I know the city is currently changing to higher deductibles, employee copays. Will that be enough? With that said, I'm not in favor of uninformed, blind, across the board cuts. But what I do advocate is taking a close look at each department and, really asking the hard questions. Can we right-size our operations in alignment with our values, without sacrificing the quality of our essential services? Maybe more sensible COLA increases, merit-based systems of pay increases. And also we need to have like a reserve fund for PERS, kind of like what Grants Pass has done.
Thank you, Andrew. Paula, you've been on the budget committee. Tell us your view of the city's current budget status and what you think we're going to have to deal with in the future.
So as we came into the current biennium, we were in a position where we were balanced, but we already had specific challenges that we were facing. Right now, because of COVID-19, revenues coming through the door are clearly less. They are for all municipalities in terms of COVID-19 and the challenges that presents. Our general fund is short by about $2.4 million. In total, we're looking at about $6 million. We've also suspended doing a lot of our CIP work, so our construction projects and investment projects and the like. So that's our current status. Well, beyond COVID-19, we have still faced healthcare considerations. Healthcare rates are going up 5 to 6% year over year. This has been going on for many years now. One of the primary ways of addressing this is through plan structure. The drivers of our healthcare benefits include greater incidences of chronic illness, price for drugs. Clearly, drug spend is awfully high. And I'm actually happy to say greater utilization of the mental health care benefits, which is a different topic in and of itself. But how do you address these? You can look at the drug benefit, and possibly there's a way where we can reach across to other municipalities within the state. The more heads you have in a drug plan, the more effective you can be. So that is one route. And similarly through our plan structure. Next, it would also be PERS. PERS is something that is directed to us by the state. Now, there have been recent changes at the state level that include the payout period being extended. So the underlying value is still the same, but because you have longer to pay, it's less on an annualized basis. And then similarly, they have tweaked the formula. I can't see.
And Paul,
So
Paula, you're near the end of your 90 seconds.
Thank you. I couldn't
So.
save it. So I just want to say that with regard to PERS, we will need to press there. So again, COVID-19 has limited our revenues. Our chronic issues remain healthcare and PERS. Thank you.
Thank you. And Gina, same question. What are our budget challenges ahead? And
You know, I really echo what's been said already. I believe that PERS are up there. This needs to be looked at. It's something that nobody wants to take away, and I know that there's a certain level. However, where we are right now, especially in this COVID-19 world, I definitely believe that PERS need to be looked at. Healthcare is so important, and we need a reserve. In my opinion, we need a reserve because we are here. If we would have had one before, we would have been more user-friendly to our small businesses in town. So I believe every municipality should have a reserve looking at the PERS and healthcare.
Thank you. So you've all given us your views of the budget, and I want to stay in this general arena, but take a step back and look at economic development issues generally. You pointed out that COVID and smoke and wildfire have been a significant challenge for our small local businesses, and they have really, frankly, challenged our economic health as a community as a whole. What do you think we need to do to bolster the economic vitality of our community and the larger region? And this question, we will start back with Andrew.
Yes, so what we need to do is really work with business owners, be on site. We need to send people. We can utilize Chamber of Commerce. We have organizations like Soretti. And so what you do is you go on site, you find out what are the priorities, where's the red tape, where are the issues? And so usually that has to do with expansion, expedited approvals. And so when you take care of your local business, when you take care of local industry, when other industry looks to go into Ashland, the first people they're going to talk to are Chamber and other businesses operate in Ashland. So if we can take care of what we already have, I think that will help us grow and recruit. And so next is recruiting. We need to have a targeted marketing strategy. And what that means is we need to identify the sectors that really, that we can grow in Ashland. And we're looking at, agriculture, tourism, light manufacturing, testing facilities, and sustainability, of that like. And so once you identify those sectors, that's when you really develop a strategic marketing plan. And then you go after those sectors, in surrounding areas. And basically you promote Ashland as this beautiful place to do business. I think Ashland, we have so much going for us, and we have so many advantages to say, like the city, we have AFN. So there's a lot that we can market, and I think we need to do so. And we just need to work collaboratively with these organizations that I mentioned.
Thank you, Andrew. Paula, you're next. Can you see David now so that you'll know when your time is used?
I think I can, yes.
Okay, great. Tell us what you think we should be doing for economic vitality.
For economic vitality, I see it in 3 swim lanes. The first is our near term, and in the near term, you don't abandon your core competency, which for us is tourism. I feel that we need to refocus our efforts on diversifying in the shoulder seasons, the fall and the spring. And one of the big ways that we can do this is to leverage those 501c3s, those nonprofits I mentioned at the beginning, such as our mountain bike community, our birdwatching community, and other ecotourism opportunities. Those folks come into town, they take advantage of our restaurants, our bed and breakfasts, and the like. So that's the near term. Then midterm, we have many traded sector businesses here. Our traded sectors develop products and services that are sold outside of the valley, but the money comes back and is in part spent here in Ashland. We want to grow those traded sector businesses. There are programs at the state level that can help that. And in growing the traded sector, the local sector benefits. They are symbiotic in nature. So what you see is for the growth in the traded sector, you see growth in your local sector. And when I say local, think healthcare, think haircuts, meals, and the like. And then third, long-term, I would like to see us leverage again the traded sector, but more specifically business services like PR, engineering consulting. These are all things that lend themselves very well to work from home, something that we've been learning a lot about in a time of COVID. And by bringing and engaging those folks into Ashland, we can take advantage of those traded sectors long-term, inviting them to be part of this vibrant, unique, and beautiful community. Thanks.
Thank you, Paula. Gina, same question. What should we do in the cause of economic vitality?
The way I look at it right now is that tourism has been our core for so long, but to be able to even diversify tourism, not just putting our eggs in one basket, because we have attractions in Southern Oregon that never close. We do have Mount Ashland. Crater Lake is our crown jewel. And that's the only national park in Oregon, is right here in Southern Oregon. So bolstering tourism is always fun, and it's great to have the tourists here and that tourist dollar. However, I also feel like we shouldn't put all of our eggs in the one basket of tourism. I know that in this COVID time, we've learned that we can work from home, we can get things done and be very efficient. And also having people come in that work from home, people telework, and the brick and mortar is somewhere else. It can be in Palo Alto, it can be in Northern California, but not here. And people are living and working out of their homes, thriving right here in Ashland. I did a little research and Eugene, 20% of Eugene works from home and people telework. We can do that. And just something that was mentioned earlier, working with the chamber, working with So Ready, working with Jackson County Chamber to be able to put that broad net out and let people see what we have here, what type of culture we are, so that we can attract the businesses that we want to Ashland. Diversify.
And Gina, you need to finish up.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just very passionate about this subject, but we can diversify and grow our economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica.
All right, so I've already talked about marketing Ashland as the gateway to Oregon's wine country, and also updating the master plan. I completely agree with Anne about really putting together a marketing plan, a strategy, and working together with all the community members on that. I think that as counselor, the easiest thing to do would be to work with the chamber in order to increase, do more events, get more people out. And right now during COVID and during the changing world, to kind of maybe pivot obviously to some outdoor events. People are still going to be a little bit hesitant, I think, to be in a close area. So I think that we need to pivot our entertainment, our theater, and really just bring it out into the community and let them help us be more culturally welcoming. I have ideas about that, which there are no time for right now. But I also care about little things when it comes to that. Controlling urban sprawl, but at the same time, really aggressively recruiting, like Andrew said, aggressively recruiting new businesses to come. We can take advantage of, solar, take advantage of the Green New Deal and green industry. Thank you.
Thank you. So I am sure what we are all hoping is that a healthy economy lifts all boats, but what are we going to do about those who continue to struggle? As a counselor, what will be your strategy for supporting the marginalized in our community, the working poor, those living below the poverty line, or the unhoused? Paula, would you start us off on this question, please?
Certainly, it's an important question and one I feel very strongly about. I think to begin, we continue with our dedicated funding revenue to the Housing Trust Fund. I voted in favor of that in 2017 and 2019 on the Budget Committee, and I feel that it does very good work. And I would also want to see us continue with our block grants, which leverage funds through HUD and provides outreach, mental health services, important work within the community that can help move us forward. Second, I would like to see us strengthen our partnerships with key organizations such as ORA, St. Vincent de Paul, Access, among many others. These folks offer a spectrum of services that help people find a path towards not only work, but good paying jobs and stable housing. Partnering with them is going to be vital. And then third, our community is fortunate. We have a lot of control over most of our utilities with the exception of gas. Many people live paycheck to paycheck, or perhaps they don't have a paycheck. They are unstably housed, and utilities, believe it or not, go a long way to pushing folks sometimes to the point of being unstably housed or losing their home. We have seen that in research. There was a book in 2016 called Evicted, which spoke to it very eloquently. And we as a community have the ability and the responsibility to work with folks to keep those that are in their homes stably housed. And by looking at our utilities, partnering with people, we can do that together through the utilities that we control. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Gina, you've already spoken about the homeless in some of your previous comments. What do you think our strategy should be for supporting those who are marginalized in our community?
When I look at our marginalized community, I did speak to living wage jobs, and something that I would support is that the companies, the businesses that are already here, helping them to expand their businesses so that we can create more living wage jobs for the people who are living at that low income level. And for our unhoused community, we have the ability to, there's a property that's on the north end of town that it lends itself to so many possibilities when it comes time to our unhoused. There's structure already on that property. There's a laundry room. We did a walkthrough with the United Way, La Clinica, Rogue Retreat. They've done so much in Medford. There was so much input from these individuals, and getting their buy-in that yes, we can see this through. This property is located on the county line. It's owned by the city, but it's really in the county. So if I can be of service on city council, one of the things that I would want to do is work with the county to be able to annex that property so that we can open it up and house our unhoused so they too can live with dignity. This is so important and it can be done. It's just a matter of going in there, being tenacious and getting it done, and working with the partners like
I think you've got to stop. Thank you. I appreciate everyone's passion on this subject. Jessica.
All right, so the council isn't really well set up or prepared to just build houses or provide services, but they are able to participate financially. They can give, they can provide land. They can bring people to the table. I think that the most important thing that these groups are going to be struggling with would be housing. So we have a short-term housing problem and then also a long-term housing situation. I think that like a tent city at the Hardesty property would be a good idea, a great idea. It doesn't need to be rezoned. It can just be used for the short term due to the emergency. But there's also other property. There's airport property. There's Beach Street Yard. And for the short term, there could be the Briscoe School, which the city just purchased. We're not exactly sure how the sanitation is over there, but it's an excellent opportunity for us to look at for potentially a tent city. And then on a longer term for that school, I think that a private investor or a private developer would be a great option to build some multi-unit housing and get some affordable housing that's in addition to what we already have. We already have a couple. And another thing that we can do is really just stand up and reprioritize housing, because in the past, when they tried to get a partnership with Jackson County and build houses, there's been a lot of people that have come and complained. So we need to work on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. And Andrew.
Yeah, so the most effective way, I think, to support these groups of people is to ensure that the nonprofits and state agencies who are providing the necessary services are working together and sharing resources to achieve their mission. And as a city, I think we could support these organizations with grants and other sources of funding, but also with coordination and communication. You know, we should also implement an annual assessment of progress, and we can really work towards identifying the gaps in services and funding. And then, you know, as a city, we can set up programs to address, you know, these needs that we have found from our assessment. But the number one issue, I think, will be funding. So as a city, we really need to be creative on how to find these additional revenue streams. And, you know, we need to apply for grants from at the county level, state level, federal level, because we need to ensure that our nonprofits operate in Ashland, that they are well funded and that we're all coordinated and to provide the highest level of service that's possible. Everyone in our community is important, regardless of, you know, income or status, and we really need to take care of our own. You know, a diverse community is a vibrant community, and so we need to protect everybody that's vulnerable here, and the city can really step up to do that. That's one of my, you know, main missions if I'm on the city council. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So we know that we are part of a community that really values citizen engagement. I think that's exemplified by the fact that we have these robust candidacies for city council. My question to you is, what will you do as a city councilor to make sure that members of the community feel heard and productively engaged? And with this question, we're going to start with Gina.
Hey. Thank you, Pam. I think this is a great question, and because it's an important question, let me put it like that. As a resident of Ashland and a taxpayer and someone who contributes and is passionate about Ashland, like so many of us are, it's important to have our local government be there and have an open door policy, and that is me. I will always have an open door policy. I love having my talks in the park and having my forums and house parties so that I get to hear from individuals. And that's one thing that this journey that I've been on since graduating from the Emerge class, Paula knows, she was there, is that having an opportunity to listen to the residents and see what they want and hear their voices and see how we can implement this. How can I implement this? How can I share it with other counselors so that we can create ordinances and policies that are conducive of the values of the people in Ashland? And I am here for the people, and I really appreciate everything that's been shared. So I will always have that open door policy.
Thank you. Thank you, Gina. Jessica, what can we do? What would you do as a city council person to make sure that citizens feel heard?
I feel like the citizens have great access to information and to their city councilors. You know, the city council is not always going to agree with what the people say and contribute, but there's plenty of opportunity to be heard. You can testify, you can submit an email, you can talk to people. I think that part of the problem is there's an assumption that the angry mob mentality is going to be effective, when actually it really just disengages the people from the leaders. And part of the reason, I believe, is because of, well, there's definitely a lot of really negative campaigning happening, and that campaigning's been happening for an extended period of time. I that it requires thick skin. And I think I have the thickest skin that I know of. So when you're not offended by what the people say, then you're more likely to be willing to hear them out and to be there and to, not avoid what they're saying, but listen to what they're saying and interact. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Andrew, what would you do to make sure that members of the community feel engaged?
Citizen involvement is incredibly important. And as a business owner, feedback is invaluable. And that sentiment should be the same as on the council. So that's why I've been a proponent of Q&A forums outside the standard council meeting. I would also like to utilize technology to create various polls for our citizens that are easily accessible, and to have the results also easily acceptable, located on dedicated pages within our website. I prefer to utilize digital technology for community opinion and feedback because it's cheaper, it's more efficient, it's better for the environment, and especially in the time of COVID, it's safer. But once things normalize, once there's a vaccine, once we were able to congregate, I'm very supportive of these Q&A sessions. I think it'd be invaluable for our city. And certainly, if we can receive feedback in this way, I think we'll build greater trust in our community. And then we can also get feedback on what are the best ways to communicate with our citizens. Is it council meetings? Is it Q&A forums? Is it polls, via our website, or is it all three? And so I think all options should be on the table, and we should pursue all of these avenues for greater transparency and accountability.
Thank you, Andrew. And Paula, what would you do to keep people engaged?
I think it's important to have a variety of channels available so that we can meet residents where they're at. And currently, with regard to how our council meetings and public meetings run, that public meeting forum is very important and a good first step. So we have our public meeting, we have the ability to provide written testimony, and we also have the ability to come and speak directly at those meetings. For elements of policy that are requiring a greater level of engagement, we have done listening sessions, and I would see those three things as being lane one. Lane two would be electronic accessibility through email. And I also think it's important to still be available via letter. Not everybody is on email. So that type of communication I still think has value. I see that as lane two. And third, I love being out within our community. And yes, COVID has limited that. But through this campaign, I have spoken with so many incredible residents with backgrounds and ideas and suggestions and feedback that just get me very excited and animated. And I see myself as wanting to continue that as that third lane where I can value and welcome the input of others and take that back. So again, as I said, I want to see that we are accessible across a multitude of channels so that we can meet residents where they're at. No one person's going to be the same as the next. So I think it's important to have variety.
Thank you. We know that we have been engaged in a period of national introspection around issues of racial justice. Here in our community, we want to make sure that Ashland is as inviting as possible for our Black, Indigenous, and people of color residents and friends. How can we go about doing that? What would you do to make sure that Ashland is a place where members of our BIPOC community feel comfortable, welcome, and engaged? And we will start that question with Jessica.
Sorry. Okay, so the first thing that I would do is I would make Juneteenth a paid holiday for the staff. I think that would be a great symbolic way of showing that we take this seriously and that we care about the issues that are surrounding. As for more practical, I think that events would be a great way to start. We could, and to get the chamber involved in helping with these events, and maybe Gina too. And I think that if we work together on making these events awesome and promoting them and getting the city councilors to attend the events, I think that would be a great start. Thank you.
Andrew.
Yeah, this question is very important to me. I'm currently married to a person of color. So obviously this means a lot to me. And I would say, you know, let's get more BIPOC in positions of leadership in the city. First and foremost, let's get them, you know, in the decision-making chairs. Secondly, let's hear directly from them. You know, I would say, you know, me as sort of a white male, why should I be coming up with ways to make it more inviting to them, make a city more safe for them? They need to tell me how we can make the city more safe for them. We should be working directly with organizations like Southern Oregon University, OSF. They bring in huge amounts of BIPOC from around the world. So all sorts of diversity there. And they already have diversity trainings in place. Let's learn from them. Let's collaborate. Let's share resources. Most importantly, let's get them involved. Involvement is the #1 way we can make this city more inviting, more safe, more inclusive. And so I'm hugely in support of that. We just need to be more open and honest with ourselves, and, you know, be humble enough to know that, you know, maybe someone like me doesn't have that answer, but I'm willing to listen to someone who I know has that answer. And so that's how I would move forward. And we should, you know, implement all these recommendations and continue to assess where we as a community, year after year, how are we progressing with our goals?
Thank you, Andrew. Paula.
I feel to be successful long-term, we need to make transitions in our hearts, in our minds, and in our systems. And with regard to city council and our municipality, we can start doing that in ways such as our hiring processes and making sure that when we're interviewing candidates, especially for some key leadership roles, that those processes are open to all who are qualified and that they are free from bias. I also feel that for myself, being a white woman, I have benefited from things that I have, privileges that I have not earned. So it is not my role to be straight out of the gate and the one leading the conversation. It is my role to keep open that space, to be supportive and welcoming of these conversations, and most especially of participation at the places and the points where folks want to come forward and want to provide their voice and their ideas, and that it is our duty to listen to those ideas and to work together. I feel Ashland needs to be a place where all our community members can thrive, free of bias. And the only way we do that is by coming together as a community, hearing all of our Ashland citizens, specifically those from BIPOC, who understand best, and make sure that we are open to those ideas and to implementing those ideas going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Gina, what are we going to do to make sure that Ashland is a welcoming community for BIPOC residents?
This, as you can see, is near and dear to my heart. Something that I've said, and I'll say it, I've said it before, I'll say it again, is that me running for Ashland City Council is so much bigger than myself. I want to see my community in places where we haven't been seen before. I want to see us in city council. I want to see us in key positions in Ashland. I want to see more elected officials. And it's just, when this is very near and dear to my heart. And I know that our community has the ability to step up to the plate. And how do we get there? We're mindful, being mindful of what you say and microaggressions and what you think in your head and mostly in your heart, being educating yourself and knowing history, all history, true history, will take us a long way to opening ourselves up to being where we want to be and being the welcoming community that I know we can be. I have faith in Ashland, and I look forward to seeing more BIPOC in higher places than we've been in lately in Ashland. So great question. I look forward to it, and thank you so much. I'm just going to leave it there. Thank you.
So you all are doing a wonderful job answering these questions, but we've already been at it for more than an hour. So we're going to do one last question, and then after that question, you'll also have the opportunity to spend 90 seconds reminding us of any final comments that you want to make. So for the final question for today, I'm going to take you to the question of vision. And the question is this: where do you see Ashland in 5 or 10 years? And how will you go about bringing counselors, staff, and residents together around a shared vision for the community? And we'll start with Andrew.
You know, I see Ashland in 5 years. I see us having just stepped up to find housing and support for all those that lost their homes in Phoenix and Talent. I see Ashland in 5 years with a robust economy because the city council made the right decisions to support local business, to recruit industry, to bring them into Ashland. And because we diversified our tourism, we grew it. And I also see more housing available to our employees, to those who earn low income. I see more multifamily housing within our community. I see more diversity within our community. I see murals. I see, beautiful activity on the plaza because we implemented a 5-year beautification program for the downtown. We have more events. We're vibrant. We're protected because we've invested in fire resiliency programs. We have better training for our police force. We've included organizations like Cahoots to help with mental health and de-escalation. We're a safer town. We're a prosperous town. And then, moving forward from there is just continuing to grow and to just be accepting as a community and more diversity, more inclusion, more prosperity. That's how I see Ashland.
Thank you, Andrew. Paula, where do you see us in 5 or 10 years, and how are we going to get there?
My little one keeps me on my toes. And when we walk in the morning, she has sometimes seen signs where she knows folks have different opinions than I do. And I tell her that that's an important thing and something that should happen and is constructive to our process. We need to come together as a community of divergent ideas and take these ideas to bring ourselves to a better place. I don't want my daughter to think that if you're not with us, you're against us mentality. Not good for Ashland. We are so much bigger and so much better than that. So to build that consensus and to bring us together, I see in 5 to 10 years that we as a community stand up and step up and say, not here in Ashland. That's not our brand. That's not how we work. And that we listen to each other. We truly work to bring our ideas together to move ourselves forward. And what does that mean for intentional work? I see us moving forward in our environmental goals, in increased electrification, in finding ways to make our corridors safer for pedestrians and for bicyclists so that we can enjoy this beautiful city that we work so hard on. I see our master plans continuing to contribute to our infrastructure and maintaining our infrastructure so that we are not burdened with deferred costs long-term that further make it difficult for us when it comes to our budget cycles. I see measurable progress on being open and inclusive within our community and also in making those inroads into housing, into sustainable jobs, into making it a place where all Ashland residents feel that they can truly be at peace and call Ashland home. So again, I really hope to move us forward in the 5 to 10 years where we have our own Ashland brand, and that is one where we work collectively. We may not always agree, but we do, at the end of the day, we want to be successful together. Oh, I didn't see David again. I am so sorry. Sorry, David.
Gina, we're going to move to you now. Where do you see us in 5 to 10 years? And how will you lead the community to that spot?
In 5 to 10 years, I see some of us just completing our first term as city councilors and perhaps moving on to other positions. And in this 5 to 10 years, I see Ashland with a thriving, welcoming community that welcomes everyone and is a safe place for everyone to live, with a balanced budget, with a thriving economy that is where people are living here and working here. People can work here, and I mean live here, work here, have affordable childcare, be able to stay and not have to go outside of Ashland and actually work and live here. I see a community that's thriving with tourism, diversity in our economy. Our unhoused, the numbers are lower than ever. I look forward to reaching out to talent in Phoenix and rising them up, because it will take probably about 12 to 14 months just to clean that area out so that our neighbors will be thriving also. So from our economy, I see our tourism, I see our unhoused people kept, and I see affordable housing and workforce housing, and the support of the council to have the reserve money so that if and when this ever happens again, we will be ready for it, that we won't have to scramble, and we'll have a more conducive.
And Gina, if you can round up.
I see us in a thriving, sustainable, equitable Ashland.
Thank you. Jessica, where will we be in 5 or 10 years?
All right, so like I've already mentioned a couple times, I really like promoting the city as the green mecca of the region, really bringing in green industry, having those living wage jobs. I've already mentioned events. I definitely think that recreation is a value service that I would like to see expanded. I'd like to see the spirits of the community more uplifted. Also, we need to deal with mitigation and adaptation of consumption and our carbon, the carbon's in the air. I see electric vehicle charging stations. I see an expanded siren, a system of siren alerts beyond just at the dam, so that people who don't have phones or people who haven't properly signed up for alerts can know when there's something major happening. We've talked about becoming culturally welcoming and all the ways to do that. I also definitely see a fully functioning and refurbished city hall, community center, pool. There's even updates that need to be made to Lithia Park. I see that we have created a solution to find out how to get those things funded and make everybody happy about that. In order to do that, you really just need to realign the priorities of the community, find out what it is they want, make sure that you are along the right path, and then recruit and educate. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. So that concludes the questions lineup that we have lined up for today. Terrific job answering them. Thank you for being ready to take on so many different subjects. Before we go to the final comments, I just want to thank again Mountain Meadow Democrats and the AAUW for pulling this event together, and remind our listeners again that we will have this Wednesday night another forum where we'll take on the other council seat that is pending. That's position 3. And then on Saturday at 2 p.m., we will have another forum for mayor. With that, we're going to move to final comments, an opportunity for the candidates to remind us about their qualifications, to tell us anything that they want to make sure are sort of our lasting words from them, to respond to anything that they heard today. I'm going to juggle the order just a little bit because I want to make sure that we are clear about the candidates who are running for specific seats. So we will start with the 2 candidates for position 1, and then we'll move to the 2 candidates for position number 5. The two candidates again for position number 1 are Andrew Card and Paula Hyatt. And Paula, we'll start with your 90 seconds and then move to Andrew.
First, I want to say thank you to AAUW and Mountain Meadow Democrats for organizing this forum today and bringing us all together. I know COVID-19 has made things very interesting, and I'm really appreciative for the opportunity and the effort. I'd also like to thank my fellow candidates. It takes a lot of time and effort and commitment to come to this race, but not only to commit to the race, but also to commit to Ashland. So I want to say thank you for them and in making this a choice for our community, which is very important. I have come to Ashland and raising my family in Ashland. We work and live here. It is a beautiful and wonderful, unique community that I invested in and want to see thrive on the go forward. I thank you again for the invitation today, and I look forward to continuing in service to Ashland in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And Andrew, your final comments to us.
Yes. You know, I'm running to be a voice for the people, a representative of the people. That's my main priority. I'm running as a change candidate because the status quo has not served Ashland well, and it needs to change. I have a strong vision for Ashland, not one where only the few prosper, but one where everyone will. A diverse community is a strong community, and as a city, we need to make sure no one is left behind. But in order to do so, our priorities need to change. Our actions need to start matching our values, which means the city council needs to get in touch with those overarching values of our community. I believe that I have a pulse on those values because I've spent the past 4 years downtown talking to our community members to understand where Ashland needs to improve. I'm also in touch with the business community. Our small businesses are the backbone of Ashland, and I will ensure that our city supports local, independently owned businesses to keep the charm of Ashland alive. I'll also ensure that the council listens to the recommendations of our appointed committees. We cannot have any more years of status quo thinking or voting. So vote for me if you want to see change and to see Ashland move in a better direction for all of us, not just a few of us. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, just to state it one more time, those are your choices for position number 1, Ashland City Council, Paula Hyatt, Andrew Card. And now we will move to position number 5 with final statements, and we'll start with Jessica Kensinger. Did I get it right that time? Okay. Sorry, Jessica. Please start.
Okay, so I guess what I want to say is that people will talk a lot about PERS and how much it costs, but actually the biggest loss of money and time is just bad ideas. If you have a person on the council who's not doesn't do their research, doesn't give things long thought, or finds their information from other people, or they don't do their fact checking, or they don't have someone to ask, is this a bad idea? Now, I may be the new girl, but I have a lot of people that are throughout the region that I can ask and say, hey, this idea was mine, or this idea came from a community member, and is this a good idea? And it's really valuable when you just fast feedback. Yes, it's a good idea. No, it's not. Or no, it's not. And then go from there. Everything else sounds really great, but to be realistic, we should be putting together a team of counselors that are like executives, and to treat our city like the municipal corporation that it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Everyone, thanks for
you. Well, we've got one more comment here from Gina DuQuenne, if you would like to provide your final comments.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, everyone, for your time today and for coming. Thank you to these awesome candidates who I get a chance to share this space with again. I am passionate about Ashland. I've been here 15 years. I've been part of the community, working with the LGBTQ community, working with everyone, no matter their status and their background and their history. And that's where I come from. I want to meet you where you are and be of service. I look at what I have to offer and working and with the community itself. I'm very big on collaboration. I'm a collaborator. I'm a problem solver, and I get things done. I see things, I talk to people, I listen to people, and I feel like that's so important. And the things that I've heard and the places that people want to go, the vision that I have and the vision that I know other people, Ashlanders, have, we can get there together. I want to be able to sit on a council of people where we have an open door policy and where we listen to people and get things done and write the correct ordinances and the correct policies, stay within our values, because Ashland can be that beacon of light of all the right things to do and all the right ways to live and have a thriving economy, a thriving lifestyle, to be able to put ourselves out there. If we are already out there, throw the broad net, bring in all the good positivity. That is us. That's
Okay.
Ashland.
And Gina, you need to finish up.
Okay.
Right. Thank you.
And
again,
thank you.
Jessica and Gina are your candidates for position number 5. So that concludes our forum for today. I just want to say thank you to all of these awesome candidates. COVID has been a very difficult experience for all of us, but I think this new virtual world has some real advantages. And today we got to use the Zoom forum to really get in-depth information from all of you and to get your perspectives on what kind of community you want to see in the future. So I think you've done a really wonderful job helping voters understand how to cast their ballots. So thank you for that. Join us again on Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the second in the series of 3 forums. The Zoom link for that will be posted on the AAUW and Mountain Meadow Democrats Facebook pages. I'll also have it on my own personal Facebook page if anybody's looking for it. And thank you all. We'll see you on Wednesday.